All right, so you should open up this Excel file, and we're going to use this data set throughout the course to explore different things. Often when you're making an Excel workbook, the raw data is on this tab, but it's good to have a README tab. So on the README tab, it describes the data. Basically, we have an animal shelter, a no-kill animal shelter, and we're looking at how long the animals are there, why they're there, should they transfer the animal, that sort of thing. And we have, for our raw data, the variable outcome. The README file tells me the outcome is whether the pet was adopted, transferred, or returned to the owner. The variable age is the age at intake, so when they entered the shelter, in years. And so when you're making some sort of summary of data for somebody, including a data dictionary is nice. It helps a new person know what the data is. Now, I used to work with data that looked like this. But the thing is, how things look matters. It's sort of like when my daughter was in dance. At first, I didn't like the fact that I had to purchase costumes. But then, when I watched the performance, the costumes added so much. Similarly, you have the phrase, people eat with their eyes, right? If it doesn't look good, they don't want to eat it. Well, it's the same thing. If you are in a business situation and you are playing with data, showing somebody data, how it looks matters. And so we're going to make this data look good. So we're going to select all of the data, and then we're going to, I just did something. So you're going to select all the data, and we want to copy it. So there's different ways, but you copy and paste so much, it's good to know the shortcuts, Control C. So I Control C the data, and I'm going to go to this Part 1 tab and come up to that cell, and then Control V is to paste. So now I'm going to play with this data and make it look pretty. The first thing that I want to do is I want to adjust the columns. So to adjust the columns, you can manually do this. All right, but that's a lot. Let me undo that. To undo something, Control Z. I might want to say, how can I adjust all the columns at once? Now, something that you have to do in this class is you have to come up with questions, Excel questions and answers. So I'm going to go just to give you an example. I open that, and this is a file for our whole class to add to. You're responsible for adding 5 to the list. So my question might be, how do you resize all the columns at once? Because the truth is, I cannot possibly teach you everything or even close to anything about Excel in this class. We're just scratching the surface. And so what you need to be able to do is say, can I do this? And be willing to find the answer. So I might ask, how do you resize all the columns? And then what you need to do is you need to go to Google and you need to figure out the answer. So select multiple columns and then resize one of them. So let me go back to the file. So I will say, maybe I'll select them all, and I will resize them. I'll make that one wider. Now they all resize to that width. Now that's a little too wide for me. I'm going to Control Z. I think I want to resize maybe to this width. So now they're a little more narrow. This one's not quite far enough. I'm going to undo that again. You could also say, I want to resize this one and this one, and this one, and you could resize O, and it resizes the ones that you selected. Let me Control Z to undo that. So how do I select multiple columns? Well, I select that by clicking on A. Now, if you want to keep that selected and keep adding things, Control, and then you can keep adding stuff. Let me clip off that same thing. If I want to select everything in row 5, click there, Control, and then you can, well, actually, there's an easier way. Everything in row 5, you could just do that. But if you wanted a few cells, you could Control and just hit your random cells and get them. Okay, we will pick up with making this look pretty in the next video.